The Bold and the Beautiful B&B spoilers update for Monday, October 3rd, reveals that Electra Forrester's, Lania Grace, revelations will horrify Deke Sharp, Harrison Cohn. Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, will also blast Remy Price, Christian Weissman, as the drama gets even worse in the Forrester showroom. All poor Deke wanted to do was show off his new boyfriend. Deke was hoping to include Remy in his welcome bash at Forrester Creations and let everyone meet the guy who's captured his heart. Instead of giving Deke a heads-up on the inevitable mayhem, Remy let him get blindsided. Now Deke is wondering why everyone seems so freaked out about Remy being the man in his life. Of course, Electra will fill Deke in on the deepfake photos Remy created and how he made her miserable just so he could be the one to comfort her. It was sick and twisted, so Deke will obviously be creeped out as well. Remy followed Electra to Los Angeles and once again made a mess with his stalkerish tendencies. It all led to that dramatic climax when Remy chased after Electra and found himself in a showdown with Will. Speaking of Will, he'll put Remy on full blast and make it clear that he's not welcome at Forrester Creations. Ivy Forrester, Ashley Brewer, will surely pipe up an agreement since she knows what an awful experience Electra went through thanks to Remy. After Remy pleads to speak with Deke alone, they'll clash over Electra's disturbing news. Remy will want to wipe the slate clean and embrace the romance they've found, but it may not be that simple for Deke. That's especially true since Remy already faced backlash for his link to Luna Nozawa, Lisa Yamada. Deke doesn't even realize that Remy's still going behind his back to see Luna, so this whole thing is a mess. As for Sheila Sharp, Kimberlyn Brown, B&B spoilers say she'll make promises to Deacon Sharp, Sean Cannon, and look forward to fully repairing their relationship. Since Hope Logan, Annika Noel, and Liam Spencer's, Scott Clifton wedding is coming up, Sheila will get updates on that and decide this will be a great opportunity to do something as a couple with Deacon. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Sheila's plans may fall through in the coming episodes since Beth Spencer, Jordan Gracie, won't want her anywhere near the nuptials. The Forrester Creations showroom, usually a place of glittering fabrics and soft laughter, was thick with tension that morning. Beneath the glamour and mirrored lights, a storm was brewing that no one saw coming, least of all Deke Sharp, who had arrived with the brightest smile and the purest intention, to introduce his boyfriend, the man who had made him believe that love could exist without shadows. But in Los Angeles, love rarely breathes without consequence. The moment Deke stepped into the room, arm around Remy Price, every conversation seemed to die midair. Champagne glasses froze halfway to lips, smiles faltered, and what should have been applause turned into a hush so sharp it cut through his excitement like glass. Electra Forrester stood there, her expression unreadable, flanked by Will Spencer and Ivy Forrester, both radiating quiet fury. Deke's confusion deepened with every second until Electra finally stepped forward, her voice trembling with both courage and fury as she began to unravel the story that shattered the air. About the deepfake photos, about the betrayal, about how Remy had fabricated cruel lies to torment her, just so he could swoop in as the savior. The words hit Deke like a punch to the chest, and though he wanted to deny it, the fragments of truth in Electra's pain were too raw to ignore. His smile crumbled as realization dawned, as whispers rippled through the gathered crowd, and he stared at Remy like he was seeing a stranger instead of the man who had kissed him under the Forrester rooftop lights only nights ago, promising a future built on honesty. Remy's defenses came too late. His stammered explanations, his insistence that he had changed, that what he did before came from love, not malice. Because in that moment, Deke could see the pattern of obsession threading through every memory they had shared, and it terrified him. Will Spencer's patience, already paper-thin, snapped as he stepped forward, his tone low and dangerous, telling Remy that he wasn't welcome there, that he'd made enough chaos in the lives of people who were trying to heal, that he'd hurt Electra once and wouldn't be allowed the chance to do it again. Ivy Forrester, ever the poised voice of truth, sided firmly with Electra, recounting how she'd watched her niece unravel under Remy's manipulations, how they'd pieced her back together only for him to reappear like a ghost determined to drag her down again. Remy turned to Deke then, desperate, eyes wide with tears and denial, trying to explain that love had changed him, that being with Deke had been the first time he'd felt real, that he wasn't the same boy who'd chased pain for validation, but Deke, sweet, earnest Deke, could only shake his head, feeling the betrayal like a physical wound, knowing that even if there was truth in Remy's pleas, the lies had poisoned everything between them. He wanted to scream, to ask why Remy couldn't have just been honest, why love for him always came wrapped in deceit, why every time he opened his heart, someone made a fool of it. The party disintegrated before his eyes. Guests murmured awkward goodbyes. Electra left with Will's arm protectively around her. Ivy followed close behind, and Deke was left alone in a room full of glittering gowns and broken trust. When Remy tried to approach him again, Deke snapped, his voice trembling but firm, telling him to leave, to stay away, to let him breathe. The moment Remy's footsteps faded, the silence was suffocating. Meanwhile, across town, Deacon Sharp sat at Il Giardino, oblivious to his son's heartbreak, because he was locked in his own complicated tangle of emotions with Sheila Sharp, who sat across from him, her eyes glinting with a strange mix of hope and calculation. She'd been softer lately, or at least she wanted him to think so, promising that she wanted to rebuild, that she wanted their marriage to be more than chaos, that she wanted love, stability, forgiveness. And Deacon, weary from years of failure, wanted so badly to believe her that he nodded, offering tentative smiles, not realizing that the woman sitting before him was already plotting the next way to wedge herself into his family's life. When Sheila heard about Hope Logan and Liam Spencer's upcoming wedding, she lit up, seeing it as a chance to show the world that she wasn't the villain anymore, that she could stand beside Deacon as a respectable wife and proud stepmother of the bride. Deacon hesitated, torn between the peace he craved and the instincts screaming that Sheila's version of love was always dangerous. "It's Hope's big day," he murmured. "It's not about us." But Sheila only smiled, that familiar smile that never reached her eyes, promising she'd behave, that she'd sit quietly, that she only wanted to support her husband and his daughter. Promises that even she knew were lies the moment she spoke them. Back at Forrester, the fallout from the showroom disaster continued. Electra locked herself in her office, shaking, remembering Remy's smirk, the way he'd made her doubt herself, and though Will tried to console her, she couldn't shake the feeling that her past had followed her back into the one place she'd started to feel safe. Deke, meanwhile, sat alone in the design studio long after everyone left, staring at the reflection of himself in the glass, wondering if he'd ever stop choosing people who hurt him. He thought about Remy's tears, his promises to change, and part of him wanted to believe, because he knew what it was like to be broken and desperate for forgiveness. But the other part of him, the part that remembered Electra's trembling voice, told him to walk away. Still, love doesn't dissolve cleanly. It lingers like perfume in the air, reminding you what you lost even when you know you're better off. The next day, when Remy appeared at Deke's door, eyes red, asking for one last chance, Deke almost let him in.